This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
So apparently there's an excess at Hampshire Regional, like
excess E&D, excess in demand, so it's five.
Yes.
It can only be 5% of whatever their budget is.
so
Something like that. I forget what the
the
exact.
total amount was 500 and something thousand, and we're supposed to get 55%
6% or 55, whatever the percentage is that our
And
allocation
so
is.
it's over 300,000. I also asked about free cash, which again, it was said that it was going to be certified any day.
The new year? From 22?
Yeah. No free cash. Free cash was last certified in April of '22.
Right, yeah,
And so it expired basically July 1st.
Yes.
So there has not been a new free cash certification. And if it doesn't happen before town meeting or in time for, then they might as well, you know, we're not gonna have another special town meeting.
Yeah, so Bradley sent this mess on 4/7. Is that the same one I was looking at? Yes. He sent a revenue. This one? Yeah. So when they were talking about the excess and demand from the regional school, it's kind of like their free cash piece. Did they say they were going to give it back directly to us, or were they going to reduce their allocation by that amount
They didn't
for the
say,
budget for 24?
they didn't say that. John just said, with his school committee hat on, that this is what the dollar amounts were. When he put his select board hat on, he said that Southampton should contact them and say, we want our share back. Because it was not discussed apparently what they were going to do with it.
So if they give us that money back, they can't use it as a revenue source for FY24 budget. It just goes into miscellaneous receipts and it gets dumped into free cash whenever they close the books. The school can, if I'm understanding it correctly,
Reduce
our, say that our allocation was $2 million or 2.3 million bucks, and we got 300,000 bucks that was owed to us. They could reduce their budget for 24.
so then it would really help us in '24 versus giving it back to us. It's really not going to help us until '25.
Correct. But then, I mean, and so then what happens? So they do that and they reduce it. Then next year, your budget looks like it's this much bigger because they asked for, I don't want to say this. So they asked for 2.3, then they reduced it to 2, but next year they asked for 3.3 because originally they needed, because that's not something that they get all the time. It just kind of happens every once in a while. It happened back in.
But maybe it's part of our original assessment, and then they give it to us in like a credit, kind of like
Yeah.
Maya does.
Yeah.
And so then, I mean, I see what you're
But
saying.
you won't get it next year
Right,
probably
right.
either. So their budget will seem like it grew huge, but it really didn't.
Right.
Because they did give us that money back
A couple years
a couple
ago.
years ago. It was, I don't know, 16, maybe 17, something like that. And it was, whatever the percentage was, but so with this revenue projection that we got from Bradley, I had one question for him, because the original one he sent us, the indirect cost for the water enterprise funds got changed by 58,000 bucks. I was like, well, what the heck happened? And he said that his answer to me was, the 23, they just used an estimate of the year before because they hadn't actually done that calculation. And so when they went to do that calculation this year, as best they could, they came up with $157,599, which is $58,000 more than 23. So I don't know what 23 could have been. Should 23 have been like 120? So it'd only be like a $30,000 difference. I don't know what that number should have been, but to me, the 58,000 bucks seemed like a lot.
Are you allowed to speak in your meeting? Are we allowed to speak in your meeting? Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
In the.
but identify yourself though.
Oh, sorry. Lucy Dolan, Town Clerk, 10 Stronger. I just wanted to say in the budget meetings that we presented, our department meetings, the budgets that were presented on the screen were off from the ones that we had in front of us. And they had to be changed because my perception was we were supposed to put in the first column what we were asking for, and then in the second column was our wish list. So I was not under the impression that we had to put a level funded budget in the first column. So I don't know, it probably doesn't have anything to do with what you're talking about right now, but in all of the budget meetings going forward, and I know Donna was at some of them, and Becky was at one of them, or two, I don't remember, but some of the budgets were off from what Bradley had put up on the screen and from what was in front of the select board. But I was under the impression that we had to put what we were asking for and then a wish list in column number 2. So I don't know if that matters, but the budgets were off, way off from what Bradley had put in for numbers. So that's just a comment.
Thank you. So I guess I have a hard time with if you don't have receipts posted for this current fiscal year up until December 31st and you're missing 3 or 4 months, I'm not quite sure how you can make a good projection of what we think we're going to collect for next year. I mean, you don't even have motor vehicle at all because the bills don't go out till January. So in December, you're not going to have the new year of motor vehicle revenues in there to estimate what we think we're going to collect. I mean, I guess you could look at 22 with what you collected.
Why, like today I asked what the commitments were, not realizing that apparently the commitments, the estimated revenue line for this fiscal year is $1,078,000. And that's what I was sent back as being the estimated, like maybe those are the commitments. But to me, when you put your budget in and you should put your budget in based on last year's estimated, what we budgeted for, right? What our true estimated revenues were.
Which is what goes on the tax recap. That has to match to what we put into the tax recap that we send to the state.
But this can't change every time we get a new commitment unless
No.
you add it under revised estimates if it went up or, but anyway, so I'm confused. Like I don't know if that is really what was committed. I know you're not going to collect all of that before June 30th, but the biggest commitment is the first one. So I still don't know exactly what that was.
Let me look here. So, and I didn't ask this question of Bradley and or Ed, but if free cash is going to be certified any day now, they have already closed the books for
No.
22?
They're still working on it. I don't think it's going to be done before town meeting.
So, yeah.
Where are they coming up with revenue numbers? I mean, we got a revenue report on the 6th, and you got estimated revenues on the 7th. Our revenue report's only through December 31st.
Yeah.
And how do you work with a budget when you know, that's rhetorical, I guess.
So yeah, so on the recap for 23, the receipts were $1,078,217, which is what's on that budget line item? 1070, 217.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's what they estimated that they were gonna collect for
Right.
23.
But that wasn't, I asked what the total motor vehicle commitment so far in this fiscal year. And I got back a picture of this with the motor vehicle. That's what he responded with.
So those revenues that we projected aren't gonna match what the commitment is, because those are gonna be even
Right.
previous years that you
Right.
haven't collected, so
And
it's
it
not
says-
gonna match the commitment.
And it says boat excise of 2,500 was originally included in the 980 total. Well, I don't even see a 980 total. I don't know where 980 is. Because it's not on this.
Oh, the 980 was the estimate. So that's on this sheet right here, 980.
Oh, I didn't. Oh.
This is from the 7th. I think that's the one that you printed, Becky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what they,
Oh,
that,
oh. All right, I think I did download that too here.
so really, this 2023 estimate should be, the numbers in that column should be what they put on the recap. Because, so if you look at motor vehicle, for example, it said they projected 980. So this year, it looks like there's a $70,000 increase in motor vehicle excise, but it's not really true because the 980 isn't what they have in the budget or on the recap. So that's what I'm saying. It's hard to predict these if you don't know what you've already collected. Unless they went through what Jen has on her desk or what Bradley has in his bucket and added it all up, you know, I mean, and I just think, like even now, like building permits, you had a bunch in the fall, but you're not gonna get those till like now people are taking them out to do them. So as of December, your building permits probably aren't where they need to be. I mean, maybe they extrapolated them out. I mean, none of these are totally off from what they put in there for 23, but I guess
No, but
it's
like,
hard.
even treasurer collector was estimated at 11. Of course, there was tons of MLCs last year, which goes into that. And as of the end of December, it was only at about 4,000. 36%, not 50%.
Yeah.
But whether that's gonna, you know, in 6 months, your sales have definitely slowed down. I'm trying to think what else goes into that, but, police department was estimated at 17, they were only at 39%. Fire department was at 44. Highway was at 32,
3,200.
32%.
Oh, 32%, yeah. So, and even I look at, you know, ambulance receipts reserve went up 125,000 bucks. They haven't closed 22 and rolled it over, then how do you know what's left from the year before to know? I mean, maybe there's enough in there now, I didn't print those out, to say that there's that much money you can take out of it. So that's an account that they collect all the ambulance fees in, and then you can only take money out of there with what's in there. So if they only have 100,000 bucks in there at the time of town meeting, you can only take that money out. So if you don't know what your balance is, how do you know that you can take 125,000 bucks out of there? I guess is why I'm kind of like,
Wishful thinking.
hi, yes.
Lucy Dutton, Townsville. The other night at the meeting, the select board meeting, I forgot who asked, maybe it was Donna or John. Somebody asked if the books would be closed, and Ed said that they were waiting on some stuff. And I did remind them that, you know, I have to post the warrant on April 25th. And they said, yes, that's why we're meeting, so we can get all this stuff, budget stuff done. But I'm really nervous that they're not gonna get this budget stuff done by the 25th to post the warrant. And I am very, very grateful that you three are meeting tonight. I know that you guys are, your hands are tied probably because you need numbers and stuff, and I mean, I don't even know if you guys can make decisions because being stuck without correct numbers, you know, but thank you for being here. But I am nervous about them wanting to push the town meeting out. And do you think that there's a possibility that they would want to do that without the books being closed for 22?
I mean, that's their decision, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, could that be a possibility if the books aren't closed for them to get the free cash?
You can't get free cash without closing the books.
That's what I mean, so if they can't get the free cash, would they want to close the books first to get the free cash to set the budget? That's what I mean.
I mean, I don't think the free cash has to be
Okay.
certified.
doesn't.
I mean, I
Okay.
was at a meeting and there was a town talking that they hadn't closed their books since 21 or
Oh,
something
okay.
like that.
Okay.
So, I mean, you can continue to operate.
Mhm.
It's just
Okay.
that those funds, whatever they may be, we don't know exactly where the town stands in a financial
Right.
snapshot
Yeah.
because the books aren't closed. So
And
we
we-
don't know if we could have used some of that money toward one-time things like we have in the past.
Right.
And our free cash policy says that so much goes into operating stabilization, so much goes into capital stabilization.
Right.
So if that money isn't put in, then we can't vote to take it out at town meeting to pay any of our debt service or any
Right.
capital
Okay.
things.
That's what I was wondering.
So-
Okay.
The money has to be in there, and if,
Right. Okay. And does the free cash run out? Like, do you have to use it?
You have to use it by June
That's-
30th.
that's
It
what-
doesn't-
That's what I was
I mean,
wondering.
It doesn't run out, but you can't appropriate it past June 30th. If you don't use it, it'll just roll over until your next year.
but you can't spend it until it's then certified
Again,
again.
yep.
Okay. So if we didn't use free cash from 22, would that roll over into 23's budget?
Well, yeah, it would get,
Okay.
it just gets recalculated, it's still
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
It's still there, it's not like
It'll
if you
keep
don't lose,
growing and adding?
if you don't spend it, you lose it.
Mhm.
Some towns never allocate or spend it all, so some does roll over and some allocate every penny every
Yeah.
year, you know,
Does
so.
it grow? Will it?
It depends.
Oh,
It depends on your budget
Okay.
and whether you've taken in more revenue than you've spent. I mean, it's your balance sheet
Okay.
basically at the end of the year.
Okay, all right, that's what I wanted to know.
It's your excess.
Okay, all right,
So if you spent every penny,
yeah,
or you spent close to it, and you only collected, a little bit more than you actually projected,
yeah,
then that's what's gonna be in there.
yeah, okay.
Because there have been times when communities, they have spent more,
Mhm.
and it's a net deficit it's a takeaway from that
Well,
account.
because they said they're waiting for the school choice funding too, because does that come into our account?
No?
Or not school choice, the Smith folk money?
They're waiting to know how many kids are going to Smith Voc because that's going to impact the budget because we have to pay that.
Right, that's what it was.
Oh, for this year, you mean?
For-
Oh, I thought you were talking about free cash. I'm like,
No,
No,
for
no,
next year. They
no,
don't know
for
how
next
many
year.
kids actually have been accepted.
Right. Okay.
And they know they have, more kids have applied for 9th grade than are graduating in 12th grade.
Yeah. I know my daughter's class, the class of 2025, the sophomores, they had a huge population going to Smith Voc.
Wow.
So, and this year the freshmen wasn't as many, but there was still quite a few.
I was just wondering. Thank you.
So I guess the question, and I'm gonna have to ask Ed and/or Bradley, if they did their Schedule A for FY '22. Because if they didn't,
No,
then,
I don't think so.
so are we not getting our money from the state? Because they said they would hold those,
I don't know.
they would hold that money if we don't put our Schedule A in.
I really wish that somebody could count.
Well, I didn't invite anybody, it's kind of last minute, and I
Yeah.
apologize, I just,
No, I mean, no.
I don't have the time, and
shouldn't have to invite
and everything
town administrators.
with the financials are very, very messy.
Yeah, yeah,
And it really,
yeah.
I guess it really hurts that when Donna left and then when I left,
Mhm.
things were fine, and now they're an absolute
I
disaster.
know.
Are you recording?
Yep. And that's my take. Again, they don't have to be, but for some reason they're messy. So it's
Well,
hard
that's
to.
why I said, I mean, you shouldn't have to ask. I mean, somebody from, I mean, I'm surprised Bradley's not here.
Well, I posted the meeting, but I didn't record. We were just gonna go over the budget
Yeah.
because we are all busy
Yeah,
in
I
our
know,
own jobs
I
to
know, I know.
meet with the finance like we did last year. Because I was doing double duty with budgets between here and Westfield,
It's an
and
open
that
meeting.
was,
Like, are we supposed to be here right now? Us?
I guess. I didn't post that it was executive session or anything, so. I mean, you meet with your stuff at work
Yeah.
and so it's hard for, I think, speaking for myself, you know, to meet 3 or 4 times a week. It's like, I
know.
don't have the time.
Yeah.
So I thought if we met today and kind of went over and talked about the budget and give our 2 cents, then maybe we at least
That's why I
have
said
something,
thank
you know, talk about some of these things that are in here, so. Yes, Jerry.
Could I ask a question, Jerry Swanson, East Street, and the health director? In our budget, we had a separate line item for contracted inspection services. And Ed moved, I think Ed moved it into just expenses. And expenses in the past were like your office expenses, you know, paper, pens, pencils, that sort of thing. So I asked Bradley about it, and he said it was just a placeholder. He was going to evidently give it, you know, its own account number because, you know, the consultant is 1099, and it's professional services. I mean, would you lump that into expenses?
I would separate it.
It should be separated, I guess, according to the, what, UMass?
UMass manual.
Manual, it should be whatever it is, 50.
I guess personally I would, because if you put it in a separate line and you don't use it, there's not gonna be a tendency to spend it on other stuff because it's in that expense line item. You would have to do a transfer
Well, I
for it.
pointed out to Bradley, I said, I'm gonna have new curtains and all new furniture for the office. I mean, I just think it should be separated as professional services and, or contractual services. He's gonna have to keep track of that too. You have to be able to keep track of it, don't you?
If you have a contract,
Yes.
so then you have to know how much the contract, how much is spent on it, and if it's
Get an invoice
over.
every month.
Yeah.
It was
So-
previously separated?
We have not
No.
been getting the quarterly local aid since January or February. So it is posted on the revenue through December because it was received, Jen can't remember if we received it in January and not February, or February was the last one. She
I
can
think
look
they
tomorrow.
usually will be February, will be like the last drop down date, I remember.
And I know that there was some small discrepancies in reconciling between Jen and Bradley, reconciling the receivables, but they were all less than $1,000, say. They weren't, I guess you could say they're significant, but they're not like thousands
Yeah, they're in,
of dollars.
yeah, the materiality
And
of it
so
isn't
you could
big.
still file with discrepancies and just list them.
Yeah.
You know, you just, you list what the accountant has versus what, and you can still file. So anyway, that's what I had suggested to Jen when she told me, you know, she was showing me what the discrepancies were that they hadn't found, but they weren't like tens of thousands of dollars or.
No, they'll just.
And it could have been something that was posted to a wrong account or, you know, so.
So that's another problem. We're not getting cash into the town. But
Right, so that's, what, 200,000 a month or so? is it? Because it's 25, chapter 70 is 2593.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more than, I'd have to look and see exactly how much it is, but,
Oh, here we go. Yeah. Website. Local aid payments.
oh yeah. But I don't know, does it show, because I can go in and check, because you can see all the, I didn't think of that. But will it show 0 or what we're supposed to get?
It's gonna show you what you're supposed to get. So chapter 70 is about 216,000 bucks.
Whoops.
Were you recording?
I didn't, I guess I must have hit the thing, so it was not recording, but it was typing what you said.
Yeah, what I was saying. Yeah, so that's 216.
My phone is going wacky.
Yeah, so that's to about 216,000 bucks. So the net of between the local aid and the assessments is 283,000 bucks a month.
That, I'm sorry.
That doesn't seem to mean that we're getting.
When, can I speak? Sorry, can I speak? Lucy Dutton, 10 Strong Road. So when Bradley spoke about the final numbers last week, when John had asked him if he thought that he could, come up with some numbers, he had said that the budget for the wish list in model number 2, it would be off by about $500,000. So, would there be a way that it could be fixed, not corrected, if we got the free cash numbers and that, whatever you're talking about?
So they would have to appropriate money from free cash in order to reduce the tax recap, to balance the budget, basically,
Okay.
if that's what they choose to do, but.
Yeah.
So are they still charging the assessments even though we're not getting the, I wonder? Because that's 27,000 a month. Usually it's netted.
Yeah, because I didn't print the expense report that he gave us, but it would be listed on there. So, the expense budget, you guys got all the updated one that he sent today? You got that one? Okay. If not, I can, or did I forward that to you? I forget.
Sent one out today.
No, just,
Oh,
just
you.
for us
Oh, okay.
and selectmen, I think. So according to this latest one, there's a 312,000.
Yeah, they are. Well, I think so anyway, because it's 75% for air pollution and transit are 75%.
Yeah. So request 1,
Was supposed to be level funded, I believe.
yeah,
Or contractual.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's $312,505.41 that is.
And I don't think
Short.
that even includes everything. Because there were some things that weren't in there.
Yes, so one of the things I noticed that wasn't in here was the software support for the treasurer.
Right. So we talked about that one week when I was there, when Jen presented her budget and Bradley presented his, and they're looking at this new software. But they haven't made a decision on who they're gonna go with. And so the one that bought out Point had the shortest time frame of 2 to 3 months for conversion. And if they went with Vadar or one of the others, it was like 6 months or whatever. So here we are in April, no decision has been made. They would have to have their stuff, you would want to have stuff balanced before you start converting stuff over and starting with a whole new. And So realistically, it's not gonna happen before July 1st. So I said, well, Softrite's gonna bill for July 1 for their support. They do every year.
Yeah, I mean, in
And-
another month, you'll be getting a bill.
Right. So you can't say you're not gonna have to pay, you can't not budget it. But I see that it's still not in the budget.
No, the
So they-
accounting piece is, but the treasurer's not. So,
Can I ask where you're seeing the 312?
oh, at the very bottom.
Because this looks like 359. Am I looking at the wrong? This is the one that was sent out today, right? 359,708?
So do you have revenue as 19,858.80,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the request is 20,163,380,541?
No,
2210.
your expense number is different. Her total expense is 20,210,000. And we have 20,163,000.
And this is the one dated 4/11?
Oh, mine's dated 4/12.
I just have 4/11 twice.
Oh, really?
So is this 4/11, 4/11?
Yeah, mine says FY '24 Department Budgets 4/12/2023.
I don't have the 4/12, I only have 4/11.
Did I send you that 411? I forwarded that one. This one? Oh, this one came at like, oh, this one says estimates 411. Oh, that's something totally different. All right. Today's 412, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It's saved as 411, but on the top of it, it said 412. No? No, that was 411.
So, okay.
No, he sent it today at
I-
3:34.
I see that now.
Sorry.
So the one that I printed out was from...
Yesterday.
Yeah, or this morning.
Okay. And I didn't forward this because he said the workman's comp and insurance have been updated.
Right, because those weren't in there at all. They were supposed to delete some of these so it wasn't so confusing, the ones that are no longer applicable
All right,
for
so-
debt service, and those didn't
Yeah,
get deleted yet.
3:45, I hadn't checked my email. So.
How dare you be working?
No, I checked it this morning.
How dare you be working?
Okay, I got the right one up now. But it's not the one I printed off.
So that's why the expense number is higher. The revenue number didn't change because they hadn't put in the general insurance numbers for last time. But like I said, also, it's like, what, 14,000 or more for the treasurer's software support that's not in here?
Mm-hmm.
Which if they switch to a new software, then they won't have to pay support in the first year.
But they're gonna have to pay like an initial, like setup charge or something?
Right, but it's all coming out of ARPA.
Oh, okay.
So, which would be great if it was really happening in July, but I said this at the meeting, that I don't know. There's gonna have to be a test period, you're gonna have to, they're gonna have to pay Softrite something. Maybe they'll give them a break and only charge them 6 months for the year or whatever of the year if but they're not gonna not charge them at all.
Vicki? Jerry Swanson, East Street. I just asked Eric how long he just went through that whole conversion with Vadar in Wilbraham. And he said it took about, and when you have everything running, smoothly, it took 4 months. So, it's gonna take a while.
I mean, we're just doing an upgrade with Munis to a new version. And they've been testing it and it's not going live until like the end of June.
Ours is going live in 2 weeks, the 27th. Are you moving to 21?
I don't know.
Because
but
we are at 11, we're going up.
I think we're at 11.
And we're going up to 21.
I don't know if that's what we're going to, but it's
So,
gonna be
and
a
we've been
nightmare.
testing it for 4 or 5 months, but we have a whole department, one guy, that's all he does is Munis
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was Vadar they chose, and it takes a while when things are running smoothly.
But you have to be sure of all your receivables and all, you have to be sure of what you're moving forward.
Yes,
On the
you
collector
do.
side anyway, and I would think that you would, you know, you would want to be sure that all your accounts are set up correctly and the balances are, you know, whatever you're transitioning.
So I went through some of this earlier this evening, and I guess I didn't say this, but I noticed that, and it's probably some of it is contractual, but I noticed that some of the salary line items don't have any increases. You know, like the town administrator, the town accountant, the assistant.
Right, 'cause I think they listed those at the bottom, that if they did.
But then the treasurer collector wages went up, but the salary of the treasurer collector didn't go up. And then some of them that are contractual went up 4%. I'm like, who's giving people 4%?
So
Well, take a look at the chart from last year.
can
I
I ask
mean-
a question about
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
So when people are submitting raises, is it just individual departments? There's no like town like,
No, normally, unless it's a,
Contract, a personal service agreement.
or someone, or the selectmen or whoever agreed to bump up certain department heads, say, or certain people because they were underpaid. You know, they might have chosen a few to increase, but otherwise, years ago, they had made a statement that they were gonna give non-union personnel the same increase that the union people were gonna get,
yeah.
you know?
So, is that happening though?
I don't see that for some people, and
I don't see that happening either. And then when I read through the detail of the departments, it looks like some departments are suggesting that, you know, this person get a COLA and a merit, or this person get a step and a something. Like, it doesn't seem like all the departments are.
Well, police is
Are working for the
completely,
same-
like, they're ruled
Right, so I
completely by
understand
the
like union or contractual
And
stuff.
highway, I think is the same, but, I don't know who else. I mean, library has a few new people in the positions.
but because you have a different library director, that went down, and then the staff went up.
Right,
So it
Right.
kind of is a wash.
right, but I guess I just don't understand like how, like, we're not saying, okay, every non-union employee is getting.
Well, they will
1.5%,
after, so at
and
the
then-
very
okay.
bottom where it says additional estimated increased wage.
So that's
that
what that is?
27,000.
Okay.
That's what Bradley had calculated if everyone got a certain, like, say, a 2% increase.
Yeah.
So that was how much it would cost to give everyone else whatever they calculated, the 2%.
It's not like we're not moving. There we go.
But then when I read through the detail in some budgets, it looks like it's like, oh, then we're suggesting that this person get something else. So,
Is that because of last year, sorry, Lucy Dolan, 10 Strong Room. Donna, remember in last week's meeting, John had mentioned about, because Bradley had said, well, I'm gonna, try to fiddle with the numbers or whatever and try to figure out the numbers, and then John said, well, we had told employees that we would go with model number 2. Do you remember? No, from last week, the meeting.
I don't remember that particular statement, no.
Not really verbatim, but he had mentioned about going with model number 2 and to bring people up to where, or he mentioned something about bringing employees
In the town
In the town
hall
hall.
here, some of, the offices here,
yeah,
bringing them up, because when you look at the chart, you'll see that there were other departments that were brought up, last year.
yeah.
Because they didn't, it's a matter of retaining good employees. If you have people that are either degreed or certified, you don't want to lose them.
And Bradley, they formed this chart last year. I don't know if you saw it, where they did over the years how many, if they would get an increase or not in so many years. I don't know if you saw that chart that they had.
Maybe.
Probably, but
Yeah. Maybe that has something to do with the numbers, I don't know, but maybe that's why it's different. But in my budget, I had first given my budget where I had asked for something, and then I asked for my wish list, but then I was told at the meeting, and Bradley changed it, no, it has to be level funded for my first column.
I think because
and
it
then-
was, they were trying to make it the same
Right.
for everyone, like they,
Yeah, so, and then the second column was my wish list.
And, when I was going through this, I was looking at things that, kind of went up that I wasn't quite sure I could figure out why it went up. Like select board expenses went up like $4,600, but I looked on their tab, and again, I didn't ask this question, and I haven't been at the meetings, but it just seemed kind of strange that went up like $4,600. I'm not quite sure what that's for. I guess I have to ask that question. Because I thought it would be in the tab and there'd be an explanation of why they would need that extra increase.
Did you, sorry.
And then like internet service went up, which I can understand. Postage went up. And the audit went up huge, $16,000.
Oh, I think for the collector treasurer, why they budgeted a little bit more was because, well, right now, as of tomorrow, they have 2 vacancies in that office. And so it was trying to budget for what they may have to pay a new person coming in higher than what the person who left was.
So do
And
all
so
of,
that was, and that's what's happening. I mean,
do all these things go through the personnel board?
they do.
And so any of these requests or things that we're seeing in here were approved by personnel
Well,
board?
so the position is the positions are posted based on a range for the step like a grade range, and there's different steps within that grade. So if you hire someone that's more experienced,
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
being here.
And
Thank
is-
you. Good work.
has experience, then you have to pay them more than what the starting would be for someone with no experience. Like it says, to pay to commensurate, or however you say that, with experience. So it does go through the personnel board, but it also has to fall within the budget in order for Bradley to sign off on it when someone is hired, that there's enough money in the budget to cover that person for the year.
But when we're talking about increases to next year's budget.
Right, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, if she left the wages exactly as they were, then she couldn't hire anyone for more than what she was paying the
Right.
person this year.
I'm not saying that that's not how, in the end,
But I'm
that's not
just
how it
saying
should
that's
be. I'm
why
just
there
trying to
wasn't-
figure out how
right.
to get there.
Yeah.
Well,
So the money has to be in the budget in order for them to post the job with that salary range in it. Because you wouldn't be able to, as PPPB and us as finance, sign off on a PRF to post the job if there's not money in the budget for posting.
but I know in this particular case, the department head was told to post it with the range of the step. The whole range.
So, but they can only pay them what's
Right.
actually in the
And
budget.
so it's deceiving.
Yeah.
Because it was posted at up to $30 an hour and it's budgeted for 21. So then you have people applying and then they find out after they've applied.
And get accepted and interviewed that, oh, by the way, we only have 21 bucks to give you.
Exactly.
And maybe.
And that's not how things used to be posted. It used to be posted more a realistic range. You
Yeah.
know, like from low to the highest you possibly, what was in the budget to pay. So,
Yeah, so it should be posted based on what's in the budget and
or you don't post
or
the
you don't post
salary
it
at
the
all.
salary at all.
Right.
And then you hope that this get passed at town meeting, that the budget's there, which doesn't mean you have to pay the person that much, but you can put a range on the posting if you wanted to do that.
And because the second position is so low at 1764, like if the person that was in that was making higher, then you could say, okay, well, the person coming in as assistant, if you give them $1 more an hour than you have budgeted, but you can pay the clerk $1 an hour less, it all comes out of the same wage line. So you know, then she would have the ability to do that. But you're not gonna pay someone less than $17 an hour probably for the clerk.
So I'm gonna go back to the audit for a second, because that's kind of the other increases I get, except for the select board piece. I'd have to ask that question. And the audit seems pretty big jump, but we just did an RFP in Westfield and it was a pretty big jump from where it was before.
And there was only one bidder.
And so that would be to do 20, well, they're gonna get stuck. Because they have 23 money, but we haven't even closed 22 books, so how are you gonna do 22's audit? But yeah, I can understand why that's fairly high, because,
Can you encumber it since you know that they're contracted to do it, or?
I mean, if they have a contract signed for them
For 22.
for 22, you could. Otherwise, you really aren't supposed to encumber anything unless you physically have an invoice. If they have a contract that says they are obligated to do 22, then you could encumber it and carry it forward. But if they don't even have that, then they really can't. So I don't know if you guys, I'm just going kind of down the list of, because I did a column of what increased by quite a bit, you know, just to see what the increases were, and that's when I stumbled across the software support wasn't included in there, which it should be. I mean, as it stands now, they gotta cut 300 and some odd thousand bucks out of this budget. I don't know where they're gonna cut that from.
Well, I think that John was, what he said at the meeting was, he thought if we got that money back from the school, that that would solve the problem. But it's really not gonna solve the problem unless the school.
Uses it as a revenue source to offset the assessment for this year.
Right.
That's the only way that can happen.
For 24.
For 24, correct.
And that 312 doesn't include the 27,000 for wages.
And it does include the 14 for the,
There's just so many numbers that aren't nailed down.
yeah. You know, like this technology services went up 16,000 bucks from 23. So that's another one, I'm like, oh, why is it up 16
And who
grand?
is that? Like,
What technology services?
I'm not quite sure. I'd have to ask that question.
I had that marked too.
Yeah.
How
I'm
much
like,
did
that's a
it go
big
up?
jump.
Where is it?
16,000 bucks, almost doubled.
Oh, technology equipment.
I mean, we don't have anybody available to us.
Well, this year it's 15,000. Yeah, it jumps up to 31.
And how much have we spent this year so far?
Of the 8,300, $218.37.
How about out of the
Oh, that's for
15?
equipment.
Yeah.
Services, we've spent 14,263, so 91%.
And so I'm assuming that's,
And,
Wow.
and we haven't, the equipment must be the new server, and that's not in yet?
no, there has been capital money that we appropriated back in 2017 for that server, 7,500 bucks that have been sitting there for 5 years.
Unless they
Is
didn't.
it even any good?
The money? Oh, I don't know where the server, I mean, when it was first appropriated, it was, oh, it's coming, it's coming. The guy just has to reboot, not reboot it, but program it, and it's coming, and it's coming, and it's coming, and now it's 2023, and that was in
Well, aren't they
2018.
moving from, what's the place in Utah or something?
Bluehost?
Yeah, I think they were moving from Bluehost to the cloud, or
And that's maybe where the services come in, I'm not
Yeah.
quite sure,
that
but
might be it.
yeah, we've been sitting on that 7,500 bucks for quite a long time. And I was asked previously, and it was circled about what was happening, and then basically I should just mind my own business.
It is your business, you're the finance committee.
Wasn't my business when I was the accountant, though. So let's see, where is it? So that would be something that, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that seems like it's kind of high. Everything else, I mean, it's, ambulance, EMS expenses are up 21,000 bucks. Fire department expenses are up 7,900 bucks. Oops.
And isn't there another debt service payment or something for ambulance that's owed this year that there's no money in the budget for?
The 65 or whatever. I thought that was finished being paid, I'm not quite sure. So, the school in total, I must not have saved this. So vocation tuition, they have the same as they had for '23. And if they're still waiting on those numbers, that could change.
Right, because I think he said it was a difference of 7 that had applied over the number graduating, but he doesn't know if all 7 were accepted. But most of the time, people who apply are accepted. But whether they choose to go, you don't really know until the end of August,
Yeah.
for sure.
So the school, so the elementary school went up 351,000 bucks. Which is a 7%. Local transportation, and then Hampshire Regional up 125%, which, 125,000, which isn't, it's only 2%, which is pretty good. highway total increase is $217,000. And they should cut winter roads and winter wages. That's $94,000. They could just reduce it to what they did last year. Because if you put $181,000 in the budget this year, that means you gotta put $181,000 in the budget next year. And that is the one part that you can deficit spend. I know you have to kick the can later on down the road, but you aren't stuck with budgeting that $181,000 and for next year.
I wonder why he increased it, because he should know that.
Yeah, I think he's been trying to increase it to be it more actual of what it is, but and I think I've explained this to him and just try to get some logic behind it. I think every single community in Massachusetts puts what they had the year before. So I'll give you an example, right? He has $264,000 budgeted for, see, even the 142 and 264, is that what this was? 284. What did they budget in 22? 263, so they did 264. So in 23, they budgeted $264,000. In Westfield, we have $455,000 budgeted for snow and ice, for winter stuff. I mean, think about that. You know what I mean? Like, it's always $455,000. Because if you put $1 million in there, where are you gonna get that $1 million from?
Mm-hmm.
So that would be one thing I would cut. I mean, it's $94,000 right off the bat. And that's when you would take money from free cash when it gets certified at the end of the year to put that in there to cover that deficit. I mean, I don't know, I guess that's a place that I would cut.
So, but I'm seeing the difference between 181 and 142. Where's the other one? Winter roads, wages,
Wages
right?
and expenses, yeah.
Oh, the expense.
Yeah.
Well, the expenses are 122. That's the same as last year.
It's just the wages.
Minus, did I do this? Approved budget. Oh, yep, my bad, I had a bad formula.
So it's really just.
It's really just the,
It's 40, not quite 40,000
yeah.
between the
Yeah,
181
but
and the
still,
142.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, my bad. Why is that still, something's not working here. Plus, minus, the approved.
In the highway department narrative, he mentions that. The deficit spending. Because these accounts may be deficit spent if necessary.
But why, I wonder why he increased it then. He does.
Says, I continue to advocate for examination of this practice as it ignores the actual average cost of winter storm response. Wages rise while appropriation remains stagnant and causes a widening gap.
Yep. Yeah, he's been trying to buy for that for years, but you don't understand, you have to budget that the next year. And that's money you take out, because you can legally do it, and I can probably guarantee you almost every community in Massachusetts does the same thing.
But
They-
it's the same.
They budget what they budgeted the year before, so they can deficit spend it. And it's not a great practice, but the
it's
state
the
allows
only
you to
line
do
that
it.
you can.
It's the only line you can do
Right.
that with. Because you don't know how much you're gonna spend. So, oh, see, this is where where are we now? 142, 181.
Like this year, winter road wages were at 106. I mean, it really wasn't a bad winter.
No.
But winter road expenses, we were at 205. So we did deficit spend that by 83,000.
Yeah, because the expenses are probably gonna be more, because sand and salt was just astronomical.
Yeah.
And, yeah. And then the other one was, you know, I get your general highway expenses need to go up in order to fix certain particular things, but 91,000 bucks is a lot of money. You know, maybe you jump that up by 40 and you cut 50 grand out of there.
Well, and I think I remember from what was submitted, it was like money was put in because this is what they say we should spend on it.
Oh, for highway,
Yeah.
for highway expenses?
Yep.
Ah,
Trying to find that. Yeah. So it says pavement management plan states that we should be putting in 450,000 per year. 314 in chapter 90 plus 122,000 general
Mhm.
funds. But
oh, it's actually only 41. Why is this not working? What the heck am I doing wrong, right? They should all be H. Why is it H? It should be G. All right, there we go. Oh, you know why? Because his request 2 and his request 1 for his salary is the same. Because it must be in his contract, he gets that increase. Which, I guess good for him, but that seems like an awful lot. If no one else is getting anything and you're getting whatever that percentage is.
Well, I think part of the reason they did that too was because he was underpaid for a long time after, but I don't know.
Yeah, anyway, so, yeah, I mean, I guess it's not 50. Maybe you cut half of that off, cut 20. I mean, there's not a whole, I'm hoping that the school would use that money to offset the allocation, which helps you this year, but it's not gonna help you next year. And I don't think, using that ARPA money to fund things in the budget, now you have to put it in the budget.
And they just voted to increase the new conservation agent by 4 hours.
That was in here too, the conservation wages.
From ARPA.
Oh, from ARPA, because it was not in here.
Yeah.
It was in the original one, but,
So they funded it for, I think, 14 hours a week. And then initially, and now it's up to 18 or 19, I think.
yeah, I mean, even your workman's comp is lower. I don't know why I went to 80 last year. How much did we spend in? Can you look at your sheet? Sorry, I keep bugging you. For workman's comp this year so far? I'm making you put your glasses on and off.
I'm used to it. Although usually at work I don't have to wear them, but in these small numbers I do. Where are we?
Last page, probably. There you go.
Workers' comp, 80,100.
So I'm wondering why it dropped by 30 grand.
Yeah, that seems weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, was there a claim? There must have been some sort of claim that they charge us extra for. Because in '22, we spent about 70, and we put 80 in the budget. And it looks like we spent 80 for '23, but '24, there's 50.
Yeah, that seems low.
I mean, it had always been not very, the 80 seemed kind of high last year, but anyway, that last employee benefits section is really not astronomical compared to what it could be. I mean, your retirement's gonna go up, and that's understandable. Your Medicare is gonna go up because
Your wages goes
your
up.
wages goes up, so that's, but your health insurance is down.
It must
Not
be
a ton, but must be there's the way the plan works, if how many people are on it, and if they take family versus
Well, we,
single.
yeah,
Did
For-
you vote
we-
for a rate increase?
it is going up 6%.
Ooh.
It hasn't gone up in 5 years. But we budgeted originally 982, transferred 6,000 out this year to the contributory retirement because that number was budgeted wrong or typed in wrong or something. And as of the date of this report, 69% had been spent. So it's a little under,
What's insurance general?
like the liability, the property insurance and for the buildings.
Vehicles.
Yeah,
Oh, under employee benefits?
insurance.
Yeah, that's,
Well-
I don't know if it should be called employee benefits, but that is where the, how do I want to put it? All those types of insurances and accounts go in the ledger that the state requires you to. I don't know why it says employee benefits, because it really should be like non-operational expenses.
Well, it's
kind of
under
a thing.
miscellaneous expenses on the report.
Which is, yeah,
But,
I don't know why it says employee benefits, that's
Yeah,
here.
right, yeah, I don't know. It should say the same as
Should
here.
say that same as there.
Miscellaneous, not
Yeah.
employee.
Yeah, it's all those non-operational expenses that the town has to pay. So then the debt is, looks like he added the new pieces.
I think they did, because Jen got the report, or the estimates from,
Bond council, or Unibank,
yeah, it's not Clark anymore, I don't know who it is, but.
Brianne maybe? I forget what her name is. This is in the wrong column. This school roof, it should be under some other.
The school roof is paid for, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know why the interest,
I know, they need to take them out. They were supposed to do that, but they didn't.
they can, yeah, so that should be there somewhere, but it's just not in the right, it's just not in the right account.
The 13.8 goes
Yeah.
under something else.
It must, yeah, because that roof's been, that was done before you left.
Mhm. Maybe it's the new dump truck. No, that's already
13,818, yeah, it says interest on FY '24 dump truck. According to the tab that says debt.
Like the Halloween storm thing should be just, that line shouldn't be there. That's done. Oh, the 13.8 is down here. So is it twice? You've got 13,818 under interest North School roof, and then you've got 13,818 under interest fiscal line 245 and line
Yep.
231.
We just saved 13 grand. Almost 14 grand. Yeah. Yeah, that shouldn't be there. I saw that and I'm like, wait, we already paid for that. All right, so.
So now we're only off 298,000.
Well, then that 13 can be put back into the treasurer,
Yes.
so we're still at the same amount.
Right, but
Right.
hey, I tried.
No. At least we aren't any more in the hole.
So where do the select board in the process?
They are, I know Ed sent a message, they're meeting Thursday this week.
Tomorrow and next Thursday.
And next Thursday. But, I mean, they obviously didn't cut anything because it, and maybe they did originally. I mean, if that's someone's request, number one, I don't know if they've cut anything out of here. I don't think.
Is
Well, it
anyone-
did go from the 359 to the 312 in a day, so they cut something. right?
Yeah, they cut the insurance.
Yeah, but we don't know why.
They also cut,
So that was workers' comp, right, that went down?
Workman's
That's the
comp
other
and
thing.
general insurance went down by like 6,000, I think.
the gas and electric for town hall, I think, looked like it was different.
I
So,
thought they were supposed to meet with your board tomorrow night and get your recommendations for the budget.
They never really told us that they were meeting until
Ed
today.
said something today, and I was
So
like,
it's not
well, it's not
posted.
posted.
Oh, ouch. So, none of the departments really quite know what's going on. So would that be done maybe next week? Ish? I,
Well, she's got to post it by the 25th.
uh-huh.
so he says the select board has 2 more Thursday budget meetings planned as joint meetings with finance. But were they posted?
No, because he didn't say anything.
So we didn't post them as both.
I didn't. I would have to post, or one of us would have to post ours. But if you don't tell me that,
No, that was 6 hours ago.
yeah, so that's not being posted.
I don't believe his first email, which talked about Thursday meetings, I think that only went to April 6th.
Yes.
I think that was the last one that he listed. So I think that they're done meeting with departments now. So I don't know if I can come tomorrow night.
Yeah, tomorrow I can't. Next Thursday maybe.
But the process, departments, is different evidently this year. We always met with, finance first, and then the larger departments met with finance and the Board of Selectmen, so they didn't have to go to 2 meetings. But,
Well, last year we kind of did joint meetings, so we could all listen to it at the same time, which I think worked okay. It just, again, and that's my bad because I can't go to budget meetings every night of the week for 3 months.
right. But I think it's difficult maybe for the smaller, departments in terms of, trying to get board members that also that are volunteers and, get people together, and sometimes you have new people, they don't understand the process.
I guess if the department doesn't have a huge increase and it is the same level funding as the year before, then I don't think you'd need to meet with that department. You know what I mean? Like, you go through it and you think, okay, I'm gonna meet with Randall because there's some big increases. Or I'm gonna meet with the police department because there's some big increases. Or, I wanna discuss why the you know, the technology services went up, you know, like those types of things. You go through the whole thing first and you think, okay, these are the pieces that stick out to me. Why would I want to meet with, like Bradley, for instance, if his budget's the same as it was last year, except for maybe a 2% increase in, or whatever.
Well, his
Right.
is contractual for him.
Yeah, but I'm just, so those types of
Right.
things are, why would you meet with them if it's kind of is the same?
In South Hadley, we don't have to meet with appropriations or, I mean, it's, you know, if our budget's level funded, basically, then there's nothing, unless we needed some big capital thing or whatever, then we don't need to meet every year.
Well, for instance, my board had asked for, and they had funded another 3 hours for my position through ARPA, and they wanted to continue that. They want to continue it for a number of reasons, and it was in the ARPA application. And I don't know if you got a copy of, did you get a copy of our budget with the, okay, with the submittal, so you read that? Okay. And then in terms of the consultant for inspectional services, there just is no one out there. I mean, you know the problems we're having getting an assessor. Jen's gonna have problems getting 2 people in her office. We know that the inspectional services across the valley are gonna be difficult because we can't get people certified for at least the next 2 years, 2 to 3 years. There's a backup because of COVID.
For what? For the soil?
Yeah,
Because we looked online and there's people that are in the spring session that have only been working for a few months, and that they're taking people applications for fall for the soil certification.
They're taking applications now for September new EPIC?
It was the state soil evaluators thing. Because after you said that, I don't know exactly. I have to
Because
go
I
back
know
and
that
look at it.
they're backed up. They're looking at trying to have UMass also do the soils. But I mean, there are job openings, and plus the fact it's difficult because it doesn't really pay. If you've got kids coming up that have school loans, rent, car loans, you know, they're not gonna work for 10 hours a week either, and plus the fact we're just too busy. But in any case, you know, if you don't recommend it and the select board doesn't recommend funding, then we did put in an ARPA request for public health, because the American Rescue Plan was supposed to help public health. We're gonna have to update all our emergency preparedness plans, our, you know, dispensing plans, and we may end up with more vaccine clinics in the fall, including flu. But these are the sorts of things that you like to explain to the finance committee so that you know, why are we even asking for these things? But we'll see how it works out. I mean, if they don't want to fund us, that's fine. But the services won't be there either, and this is our busy season, and now we end up with contractors that are looking for things, and it's just not going to move that quickly.
One of the other things, oh, shoot. I don't know if that was the assessors. I don't know if that was, oh, that was the second request, okay. The admin assistant for the assessors was increased, but that's for request 2.
Yeah.
So they did talk about that at the meeting that, with, is it Roy?
Roy Bishop? He does all the consulting
No.
stuff.
Arnold, the man who,
Oh, Dave.
Dave Arnold, because he's no longer there and he was,
Oh, well,
tried
no,
to
Dave
do-
passed away.
Right,
It's the
right.
other, yeah.
and they haven't been able to find anyone as a permanent. So they did talk about making a decision to go with like an outside, like a consultant kind of a, they have this RRG is one, I think, that you can contract with them. They actually can set up a virtual terminal at your location. So to have a body in there, have the admin person, maybe be more hours.
Yeah.
So that the office is staffed and people can actually see a real person, but really be contracting out the principal assessor kind of position.
Yeah, because we increased that last year and it's still sitting there. I don't know if they've had any applicants or I'm not quite sure how that has panned out, but
I'm pretty sure East Hampton is open too.
yes, it is. I think so. I'm gonna run downstairs and grab those PRFs
Oh,
from the mailbox so we can sign
Thank
them
you
for
very
you.
much. I appreciate you all meeting tonight. We'll see you later.
See ya.
Take care. Bye-bye.
So, maybe you can explain to me. So the expense in the revenue report for 2023, looking at, so this is the revised estimate, 23,291, right? This is the total, this is the last page.
Yeah, I don't know if that's, the thing is, I don't know if you can rely on all those, on that total, but maybe. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Right, okay. And then the revised expense budget is 23,993. So, are they assuming that there's like 700,000?
This is what I'm saying, like, it's not.
Okay, I thought I was just missing something because I'm just bottom line looking at the revised estimate for revenue and the revised budget, and they don't match up.
So for 23, you have 4, 6. Well, I'm looking at.
So yours is, okay, so
Oh,
this is
you're
through
looking at-
December.
You're looking at the agency funds and everything. How about if we just look at the general fund?
Okay.
So when we look at the 23 revenue and expense reports, should we look at the grand total or just the general fund?
Just the general fund
Yeah.
total.
Because this isn't gonna be accurate.
No, that's not complete, because there should be
Right,
a prior year balance that gets rolled over when the books are closed.
Right.
Okay.
so.
Because, so anything besides this 01, everything carries over whatever the balance is to the next year.
So where was that, this one, that goes through April 6th?
So the general fund, the revised estimated revenue is 19,888. And the expense revised is 19,876. So it is less than the revenue.
But they should always match.
Oh, they
The
should.
budget and the budget should always match.
Oh.
So the revised budgeted
so where-
revenue should always match the revised budgeted expenditures.
Well, the
Because you're not gonna put more revenue budget-wise unless you appropriate it from another fund, which means you put money into the expenses to
The
spend.
original doesn't even match.
Where was this report? There's so many emails.
That was from the other day, the revenue and expense from yesterday, I believe. 4646.
For,
I think you had that.
Six.
I think that's what you had, that you were just showing me, only you were looking at the very last page.
but I didn't, okay, right, so I didn't, so I scrolled
So if you look
through.
at page 4, which is the end of the general fund.
So this is what. I just see.
That's
the-
revenue,
Okay, so then. this one?
expense, yeah. Go to
Okay.
page 4, yeah.
All right,
But the original budget, revenue and expense isn't the same either. It's off by 40,000,
Yeah,
42,000.
yeah, it should match. Let's see this for 1 second. Just this one. The only reason it wouldn't is if you, well, no, you shouldn't have any prior year encumbrances as a budget revision. Yeah, they should match. And these should all tie out to the trial balance also. They should all match together. But,
All right, should we vote to sign those?
yes, you can have those back, thank you. So I have a PCF for 2 part-time police officers from the chief. And it's $19.25 an hour, less than 19 and a half hours per week.
Yeah. Make a motion to approve?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sign it. I'm just being sarcastic. I sign it like freaking 50 million times a day. Oh my gosh. This is a requisition for Christie's job.
Mhm.
Oh, assistant treasurer collector, because she had that job. So this is 30,000 to 49,000, 1865 to 3083 per hour.
See, right, it's already been, I mean, it's already been posted and everything, so.
Um, I'm gonna write cannot exceed budget.
And she, I mean, she knows that, but I
I know.
think that that's what she was advised to put, and that's how it was posted, even though I don't think it's a fair depiction of what could be paid. So it's too bad, because then you have people applying that think they're gonna make up to 30,000 if they have, or $30 an hour if they have
Yeah.
experience, and there's no way we can pay that.
So do we approve this?
I mean, I
if
guess we
already
approve
posted.
it because it's already,
All those in favor?
aye.
Right?
Why is this in this folder?
What is that?
Tuesday, December 6th. Minutes to approve. We weren't there. So that is not ours. You can have that back. And then the last one is admin, administrative treasurer collector, admin assistant.
Mhm. Again, I think that's already been posted as well.
And these are from,
Motion to approve.
all those in favor?
Aye. I mean, is there a way that we can make a motion to allow any one of us to sign any future PCFs if there, I mean, it would be an existing position that just needs to be filled, and so that we're not holding up the process.
I have no issues with that.
I had asked Ed about something before. He sent me something saying it was something about in the bylaws. I don't know if that means we have to meet to do it, though.
Well,
I mean,
this is what
meeting-
John Lumber suggested I do, or we do.
Because of the Modern Municipal Act of 2016, you can designate one person, like they designated one person on the select board to sign the bills and warrants. And then they had a backup, so that not everybody had to come in and sign all the bills and warrants. So you can, and I would assume that this would fall into that category, that you can designate one person.
Oh, so we can't designate,
Like, you can have,
whoever's available, but
Well,
we can have one of us?
we can have one of us and then we can have a backup and then we can have a third. Right, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, you would say, if I can't do it, then I would
Okay.
say, okay, I can't, but you can, and you can't, and then you can.
All right,
You know what I
so
mean?
first seat, second seat, third seat.
For PCFs or PRFs for positions that already exist if they're just replacing somebody,
Right.
not new ones.
Right.
Because then I think we should
Right.
have a discussion about
Right.
it and you know, if they're gonna create a new position, we have to make sure they have a job description, salary tables, and all that stuff. But if it's already a position that's current, like these part-time police officers, or
Or the two positions
two
in
positions
Jen's
in Jen's
office.
office, yeah.
You're just trying to replace people.
Yeah.
It's not a new position.
Correct.
It's not like the conservation agent that was a new.
Yes, that was a
completely
new com-
thing.
exactly. So we can do that. So,
I make a motion that we designate Vicky as
first seat, I guess.
first seat to be able to sign when we're not able to call a meeting within a reasonable amount of time so that we're not holding things up. And Beck, I don't know if I can do myself for second, or do we have to do individual motions?
I would recommend Donna be second.
And I would recommend Becky be third.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So it's 8:35. Do we want to?
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.